Idalia continues to slowly get better organized. I think that organization or strengthening will be slow as we go through today, but boy, late tonight and tomorrow, look out. We think Idalia is going to get much better organized. Now, here's what's going on. The center of circulation has always been on the north and northwestern side of where we have all of the clouds on the water vapor loop here. Look at the bright reds. That means high cloud tops in the atmosphere. Here's where you have the thunderstorms. The reason that it is poorly organized, because as an organized system, the center of circulation should be right in the middle of where you see all the clouds, is that it is encountering wind shear. And when you take a look at when systems strengthen, what do they need? What are the ingredients for tropical systems to form and strengthen? There are three: warm water, light winds aloft or limited wind shear, and sufficient moisture. Dry, dusty air prohibits deep convection. You have two out of the three aren't positive for development. We only have one, but it's a big one, the water temperatures, and it's greater than 80 degrees. It's in the middle to upper 80s right now. So it's the limited wind shear, and also it's the wind shear, and also there's some dry air around the center that is limiting the development here. However, the upper low that's causing this northwest wind shear is going to be leaving. And as it leaves, the winds are going to relax. As it pushes into the eastern Gulf of Mexico, it's going to be in this part of the Gulf of Mexico where water temperatures are 86, 88 degrees. And when you take a look at the path here, you're going to be looking at this storm with light wind shear going over warm water for about 24 to 30 hours. And that's why we think this is going to rapidly intensify as we move through our Tuesday night. Now, this path, I think this is going to be pretty consistent. I don't think there's going to be many jogs to the right or left. I think we're pretty locked in somewhere around the big bite here as a Category 3 hurricane near Cedar Key. That's Category 3 between 100 and 129 miles per hour. So 111 to 129 miles per hour. And it could even get a little stronger than that. And by the way, this track then puts all of the west coast of Florida in the right front quadrant. The worst part of the storm, Christina.
Yeah, and that is bad news for millions of people here. So we're going to keep a close eye on this storm and the impacts. Let me show you those impacts as we get through the next few days here, really all the way to Friday. Look at the big band of yellow and orange extending through Florida, back to Georgia and the Carolinas as well. If you live in Virginia Beach, Wilmington, Savannah, Charleston, Hilton Head, you are not exempt from these impacts. You could see some or even moderate impacts to lives and property. But the bullseye is right around Cedar Key. That's where we have high and even extreme risks to lives and property with flooding, with wind, with severe weather, and with storm surge. I have to get into storm surge. Common misconception and easy to understand why winds are so heavily focused on when it comes to this system. Don't get me wrong. Winds themselves can be damaging or even deadly, but storm surge is by far and away the biggest killer when it comes to these tropical systems. Remember, 6 inches of water is all it takes to knock over a fully grown adult. 2 feet of water can carry away most vehicles, including larger trucks. Storm surge can rise up to 20 feet or even more with certain systems. Now, with Idalia, we're looking at storm surge in cities like Cedar Key in that 6 to 10 foot range, even 10 to 15 feet locally possible. And I want you to think about that for a second. For example, I am a grand total of 5 feet and 2 inches tall. If we get 10 feet of storm surge, that's a good 5 feet above my head. A wall of water 5 feet above my head. That is intense, and it's no wonder it can be deadly. Even in cities like Tampa, we're honing in on that storm surge potential of 3 to 6 feet. This is not like what we saw with Hurricane Ian last year, where Tampa really didn't see that surge. They had an offshore flow. Well, on the flip side, we could see pretty much the exact opposite this time as we look into a major city like Tampa, Florida. Also looking at major rainfall here. So on top of the storm surge flooding, we have rainfall and more flooding possible, even as we head up the coast back through Georgia and into the Carolinas. Wilmington, Kill Devil Hills, out towards Savannah and Charleston, you have the potential to see 4 to 8 inches of rain. Tampa right on that area of 2 to 4. And as we head down toward Cape Coral, for example, looking more in that 1 to 2 inch area. Now, in terms of severe weather, also a potential here, we have to look at that threat of tornadoes in that northeast quadrant, the strongest, most damaging section of the storm. That friction helps to create some wind shear, a major ingredient with tornadoes, and quick spin ups, I would say, are not just a possibility, but a given with a storm like Idalia. Tampa, again, you're going to have major impacts here, not just Tuesday and Wednesday with rain as the first bands of the storm come in, but even Thursday, we're looking at more of the same with some thunderstorms across the peninsula of Florida. Stay safe and stay with us here on AccuWeather as we track the storm.